today's topic. So today's topic came from a consult that I just did about an hour or two ago. These guys move quite a bit of volume in the personal injury space in the US. And so I thought I'd share some of the ideas that I've been having around conversions and stuff that I'm not seeing a lot of people deploy. Thankfully, he's a bit of a tech nerd, so he'll be deploying it pretty quickly. And I've seen some success. Once again, when only one or two people apply and it works really well, I'm a little bit weary to share that as some sort of broad general strategy, because obviously, you know what, anyone can get lucky. So with that said, these are some of the, I guess, hot ideas off the press, so to speak, of where the thinking is on where lead generation is going, right? So today is going to be all about some fresh new stuff. Right. So the first one, or the first two ideas, the two ideas here basically is the using the GeoIP fields for questions. And no one is using this or has ever used it. I've only shared it with a handful of people, so I'm going to share it now. So if you know inside LeadSook itself, I'm just going to quickly switch over to the DT here. We've got a ton of GeoIP fields, and the best way to kind of get a hold of that, or to find out what they are, if I just go into add fields and just type in geo here. Obviously, you can get it from the custom fields as well. There's a whole bunch of them that are sitting here. Now, as you know, that in most countries, particularly in the US and the UK, you've got quite differences in language between different areas. Like, for example, how someone from London may describe something maybe a little bit different to Manchester or whatever. So the question was, how could you use that? And what you can do is and this is leads to my second big idea, is that you can actually use your AI prompts between each question. So sort of like this. So you can start with something. You can go to your prompt and like so, and then use the output as the input of the question on the next prompt. And what you would do here is, apart from just having kind of like, the first name, last name, all that sort of stuff, you can actually, not act as a doctor, but it'd be specific to your market or your vertical. And in that, add all the geo fields. Oops. I can get it right, geo. So you can actually add these geo fields. This person is located in this country, comes from this zip, this city, and this region, and build an empathetic question or have an empathetic conversation with respect to the person from the area and all that sort of stuff. Now, what you're going to find is, obviously, in a language like English, there's not going to be too much differences, but there are some differences pop up in the slang that gets used and things of that sort. So it is a very subtle way in which you are building rapport that is quite regional in nature, without necessarily the person recognizing what you're actually doing. So because it just looks like a normal question, but it may be worded slightly differently to reflect the location of the person. So do test that out. And so there, what would happen is your question by question is actually making an API call. You obviously will use the model, which is 4.0 mini, which is a much faster model. And you can, if you want, you can use the experiments feature and divert only 5% of the traffic or 10% of the traffic, and run it for about 2 or 3 weeks or so, and see what the outcomes you're getting from your more static funnel or decision tree to something that is fully dynamic, where you don't even have a question except just a field, which is taking the output from the previous the output of the prompt, I should say, and using it as an input in the question. Right. So that is one idea where you are bringing a very high level of personalization back into this. It almost acts like a chatbot style, except it's not a chatbot, obviously. Well, it is a chat. It is chatting with question by question, but the questions themselves are in real time changing based on not just the GeoIP fields, but also the answers from the previous ones that you're feeding back into the next one. So the one that the DT that I just was investigating or checking out, each answer is progressively getting added in, and as a result, the questions themselves are progressively getting much more personalized and empathetic, and so almost resulting in an idea where the form itself may not be that high threshold anymore as a result of the conversations that are taking place along the way, which is fully dynamic based on the previous answers that were given. So if I say that I'm a single dad, then the questions will be quite different going forward than if I were to say that I'm married with 3 kids, or if I'm a grandparent, or whatever the context that you bring in, it becomes embedded or almost highly influential in the question that's going to be generated. Any questions on this before I explore the idea a little bit further? Nope, if it makes sense. Okay, cool. Give me a thumbs up. Hopefully you can hear me. Paul, you can see my screen and you've heard everything, right?
Yeah, I can see everything.
Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so that's the first big idea about testing out as a conversion. Now, if you are in markets like personal development, numerology, astrology, sort of your personal development space, relationships, even either bringing your wife back, or I don't know, finding a partner, that sort of thing. These sort of highly empathetic questions are a significant contributor to that. I'm not 100% sure at this stage whether it would make that much of a difference if you're doing something like a mortgage refi or whatever. But perhaps for something like personal injury, it may actually end up making a bit of a difference. So that's why I said use the experiments feature and only divert a small percentage of traffic to it as a test against what you are currently running. Right. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. And then obviously using the previous answers also into the GPT-4o mini model, which is actually quite fast, right? So it very speedily gives response into that. And that is the second part that I wanted to share with you. The third one is obviously to personalize the form copy. It's quite funny though I've been talking about for these things for a while, quite a few users still have no exposure to it. And when I mentioned it, they think it's like, oh, right, that's quite revolutionary, but it's not. We've been only talking about it for 18 months now. So that would be the other place to do it. And then lastly would be the personalized page right here. The one other idea, and I have not, it's not tested yet, but I just want to throw it out there, is where you are changing, because I know one-to-one consent is becoming quite big, and the whole GDPR consent thing, is to personalize the consent message itself based on what you've just learned about the person, right? And so that may make a big difference for the one-to-one, because the rules around one-to-one consent. Let me just quickly share that with you. Consent is right there. The consent rules are actually quite ill-defined at this stage. So even though the FTC has come up with their own public notice, which is express written consent under the telephone must be one seller at a time, there's not a lot of advice around how you can deploy that. So I think it's a little bit open to interpretation as to what you can do. In fact, FTC's own site, on the form, when you give the name and email, actually says entering a name in the fields provided on this page and clicking the submit application button constitutes a legal electronic signature, right? So they themselves are not deploying to the extent that what everybody else has started to deploy. And without any case law or any further direction as to what all this is about, I think people may have overcorrected a little bit with regard to this. I think the main thing is that you are telling them who is going to contact them, so the name of the person. And that's readily available either from the lead distribution platform and or making an API call to a third party, like a Google Sheet or something like a decision node where you in real time are displaying that. Right now, I guess if you're going to be really cheeky, I won't put it on. I'm going to just pause for a second. All right, so with that out of the way, this is one way in which you want to personalize this message itself for the consent part, and that could be a custom field that you would deploy again on the forms, and that you could deploy in the section at the bottom here, which says consent, and you would actually come here, click the option, and you would pick your consent custom field here. So for example, this one, and that consent field will be have dynamic content in it, which will be based on all of the answers that you've gained up to now, and so on and so forth. So it's actually real constructed. It's a real-time update of that, if you wanted to. So there's kind of like 3 or 4 different ways in which to test out for your lead gen conversions, and this is something probably worth doing. The other reason is that we've received a few requests for wanting to do chatbot style thing, and this approach where you got an API in between each of the nodes and you're personalizing the questions in real time almost creates almost like a proxy, as a chatbot does, except the context is much more tightly controlled because you are specifying each prompt at each stage, which means that you could have prompts in between each one, but each of these prompts themselves are slightly different to reflect what your intent is on that particular question. So for example, this prompt could be very different to this prompt, which then could be very different to the prompt that's sitting over here, which means each question itself is much more carefully guided with a lot more boundary and guardrails around it than a typical chatbot would, which I think is a better solution for scale at this stage anyway, because of the misbehavior of AI if over time. It can hallucinate all that sort of stuff. So this gives you a lot more control over what you can do.
Nick, regarding cost of making those calls every node, obviously
Yep.
at a high volume, surely that would stack up pretty
Yeah, no,
fast.
so 4 Mini is quite cheap.
Yeah.
And you could specify in your prompt that only make it one single question with a small explainer text or something of that sort. And once again, you'd balance that out because the AI cost, I don't think is ever going to be that much, even if you kind of bump your conversions by 3 or 4%. I think that more than enough to cover. You probably don't even need that. It'd be more than enough to cover. I think I looked at the prices. It's about 25 cents for 1 million tokens or something along those lines. Yeah. So around about 15 to 20 cents, depending on model you use. Some of them are down to 5 cents for up to 1 million tokens, which is really an insignificant cost on a per lead or conversation basis. Is like you're talking less than 1 cent or fractions of 1 cent.
Okay.
So yeah, good question. And as the price is dropping over time more and more and more, especially with those mini models, because you need a faster response time. It actually, I don't think it's going to be a significant cost, but good point. Do want to test it out as a split test. But because considering the lifetime value of the kind of markets that you guys are in, I don't think, I think it'll be an insignificant cost.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, good question though. Because the point is, I think if you got even like 1 or 2% bump, that more than cover the cost of that, and then everything else above that is just pure gravy. Right. Any other questions on this stuff before I move on? Yeah, Paul? Sorry.
No, I'll wait to the end because I think it's not
related,
right. But it's not related. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Done. I'll wait for anybody else. Frank, Jason, Jay, any questions on this implementation of this? Or anything you have specific to your market that you want me to talk about with respect to this specifically before you move on to a general or generic question? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Okay, well, we'll just, if there's any other questions, then let's just open it up. I don't have any features to show today. Except I don't know if I've shown you guys this. Let me show this to you. It's not often that I show a new feature, but there's that's the new node builder. It's going to come with the landing page builder, and on top of that, we've got this coming up very soon. So just to show you. So what we've got is the final version is not going to look like this. It'll be a little bit prettier. But we've got a whole lot of research that you can put in your website. It does a whole bunch of background research about your market, competitors, so on and so forth. And the node builder and the landing page builder uses these data sources to then build all of the the landing page copy and all that sort of stuff on top of this. So that's going to be the new thing. Now, in terms of what it looks like, there's obviously this is the WYSIWYG version of it. The canvas is still there, but we've also done things like where the validation options are all sitting inside the node itself on the right-hand side, and you can change your design with one click, basically. So there you go. There's the look and feel is changing. Move on to the next thing, and so on and so forth. The color and all that sort of stuff comes from this side. The formatting and the structure comes from the right-hand side. So that's the basic approach. Left for color and design and stuff and button stuff, and the right is for the structure and so on and so forth. And you can keep going and all the rest of it. So anyway, I thought so kind of give you guys a quick preview of what that new thing looks like. But outside of that, let's move on to any generic questions that you might have about this AI stuff we've been talking about, and or any other questions. So Paul, you can be the first person.
Yeah. Okay. So this is related to GDPR and really security and the rules changing. So I
Yep.
know in Australia and probably the US at some point, if not already, now you've got a state who benefits from the sale on your actual ads, which is obviously a lot more difficult to do. If you've got 10 clients that you're delivering an industry leads to specify on an ad 10 different names isn't possible from like I don't know if there's a solution. I know in the finance, it's in financing is where they're kind of specifying now. So do you see any kind of workaround for that? From
If you're legally required to specify the ultimate beneficiary on the
Yeah,
ad itself, then I don't think there's any other way to get around it, because yeah, because now you're running you have to run client-centric ads. So you would have
yeah,
one, ad set or ad groups or campaigns or whatever it is per client,
yeah. It's
which is
which yeah, so
which is difficult at scale, obviously, because you're diluting all of your ad spend across so many. Is that popped up in the UK? Is it?
no, Australia.
Which state? Must be Victoria.
I think generally finance. Just
Must
from what I
yeah.
heard, yeah, it's
Must
that's the rule. You've got to state from
must must be Victoria then. It must be very new then.
yeah. Oh no, it is. It's in the last week, I think.
Interesting. So the ad itself. So this is is it Google ad, Facebook ad, or any ad?
I think Meta is which is gonna it's kind of going with, but I'm assuming every ad.
That's interesting. Let's have a look. All right. Let's see if I can find something.
In essence, you just turn into an agency, don't you, and just cater for each client because there's no other way to.
Compare loans. Okay, so here you go. Where would that be stated? Like somewhere in the ad copy?
In the either in the ad copy or on the actual image itself. Again, I'm not saying everyone's doing it. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying
yeah. That
that's the new kind of rule that's coming in, or if not coming, I think it's coming already.
okay, remortgage. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Remortgage the right way. Nothing there. That's not an ad. Okay, let's say this one here. They must be the company that. So I suppose if you're a company, then you would just not really do it since you already let's
Yeah,
say, for example, if the name of the
promoting your
company
own service.
is
Yeah.
unsecured, yeah, is unsecured finance, then that is kind of showing who the main person is. Is that correct?
They look like a third party lead gen, to be honest, unsecured finance with
Okay,
what I'll do, Nick, I'll see if I can get the actual documentation of
yeah,
where
please.
this has come from
I have
first.
not. Yeah, I'm pretty much across a lot of this stuff. I haven't seen. Yeah, that doesn't mean that obviously I get to see everything. Fascinating. Okay. Okay, there's another one there. Oh no, that's to that's to sell you leads. Um, that's not you guys, is it?
No.
Okay. Review home loan. Okay, yeah, once again, okay, this is a proper lead gen site. Oh no, sorry, that's not even that's not um okay, so this guy here, jump financing, sponsored. Yeah, let's have a look. Exclusive offer for nurses, jump financing. And yeah, it's a mortgage broker or a broker of sorts. Wow, it's interesting location to put this.
Hmm.
There you go. Broker Grow. Who are they? You can find out we grow mortgage businesses with paid ads. Okay, so it's an agency that specializes in broker.
Mm.
Yeah, no, so I can't think of any other way around it. Obviously, I haven't seen the legal fine print, but to answer your question, um, looks like it's going to have to be um, your ad creatives would have to be client centric,
Yeah.
which sort of goes to the conversation we've had a few times in the past that, why don't you just go and bloody become the broker yourself?
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
topic
True.
for another day. Yeah, now good question. Sorry.
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll, I'll send over the
can't.
doc
Yeah, yeah,
line.
please. Yeah. So send that through to me. But if that is the letter of the law where the ad itself, so what you're effectively saying is that if this lead was going to XYZ mortgage brokers, or let's say going to Nick mortgage brokers, then this ad would need to state at somewhere
Yeah.
that this advertising is being done on behalf of me, for example.
Yeah. Who's benefiting? From what I understand, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if you can just get away with like big like PhD level words like ultimate beneficiary, and then just leave it at that, and so no people will just
Mm.
ignore it. But it's compliant.
Mm.
But that's not the main problem here. The problem is how do you manage your ads now? Because traditionally you've run one ad,
Yeah.
and if it pulled 5,000 leads, you distribute those leads based on whoever, yeah, whatever the lead distribution buying criteria is. um, but
Yeah.
that breaks that. It's almost like you got to run the ad on a per client basis.
Yeah.
So if you have a very small client, so let's look at the mechanics of this. Let's say if I have a very small practice in my local area, then it's almost like it may become uneconomical for you to run ads for me because I'm too small.
Yeah. If it was a whale client, then it's obviously worth doing a
Yeah,
proper
yeah.
campaign.
So because at the aggregate, it makes sense. You're like, okay, cool. You know what? I've got 5 big clients. They're all buying, 500 leads a week. I'm going to
Yeah.
sell them to those first. I've got these 4 or 5 little ones. They can buy any overshoot or overflow that's coming through. And so the economics works. You're like, I'm gonna bulk the money here. These guys are gonna pay me a small premium, but or a slight discount of anyone that I can't sell to my major leads. These guys will take it off my hands, and they're happy to do it because they're reasonably small or distributed or whatever. But now all of a sudden, if you have to run an entire ad set or ad campaign just for that specific person, that becomes
Mm.
that becomes a little bit difficult, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If worth it at all.
Yeah, so I suppose what it does, it means you have to reprice you almost have to price your leads on a per client basis depending on the economics of dealing with a client.
Mm. You become an agency, really, don't you? Like, yeah.
Correct, correct, correct. You do become an agency, and if you're doing that much work, might as well go buy one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe.
you think.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. Sorry. Yeah, so send to the docs. Let me have a look. Yeah, let's. I don't know if there's no way to hack it here, but the fact that if the requirement is to display that on the ads itself, yeah, that's a bit troubling. Can you have more than one person?
Again, I think if you had a list, I think that's possible that these people would benefit, but then it's a big list of people. It kind of blows the ad out of the water in personalization, doesn't it? And it doesn't
Yeah,
look.
yeah. No, but the other issue is now you just only competitors
Yeah,
who you
yeah,
sell to.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this is
so
who we're supplying, and then they've got, well,
yeah,
they're buying ads. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So okay. Well, actually, tell you the truth, that's actually quite dangerous too. Because if I go to these guys, you know, like to look at the ads library, you all the clients will be listed.
Hmm.
This is a stupid idea. Okay, cool. Anyway, send it through to me. I'll have a brief look at it to see is there a way to get around this.
Okay.
Interesting. Jeez, something new every week.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Good. Thanks, Paul. Sorry, I wasn't able to help much.
No,
I just
no, it's all
yeah.
good, all good.
No, send it through. Let's have a think about it. All right. Any other questions? Hey, Jonathan, how you doing? Good to see you.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, then again we can call it a day. Another short one today. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to review something. If oh yeah, Jonathan, you had a question?
No, I do.
Okay.
This is Eric. How are you?
Good. Thanks. How you doing?
Hey, quick
Happy New Year.
question for you. I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
have covered it in the past, but how are you managing the one-to-one? Because it's
Oh,
interesting that you bring that up because here in the U.S., we're noticing some of the buyers want us to put a script on their page because they don't want to disclose basically they don't want to give us access to all of their direct buyers. So we get it, you know what I mean? But I was just curious what you were saying.
yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so generally speaking, most people are solving it in this way. Let me, where did I have it? I think I have it in discount here. The Prosper. Okay. Once it loads up. Okay, cool. All right. So this is just a test environment. All right. So sorry, let me make sure I got that right. Always start from the beginning. Okay. Cool. All right, let's restart that. Okay, ignore all this. I'm just going to go next. Let's assume that you've answered a bunch of questions and now you've made an API call to a third party, for example, lead Prosper or whatever, Leadspedia, any place where you're doing the distribution from. They come back with a number of buyers that match the lead ping. And so in this case, in this the dummy example here, I've got buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer 3, but this is coming from the lead distribution platform. And so I can select all or whoever I pick as the lead that I want to talk to, and then I press my submit button right here, and that's it, right? So that's kind of like in a nutshell is how it's being managed at the moment. Where you make an API call to your distribution platform and it brings back the names. But this is assuming that I as the lead gen, have a relationship with 10 clients. So I'm just bringing in the 10 clients' details back and displaying it. What you're saying is yeah, can you explain in your scenario what's playing out? Because I'm assuming that you're one step further removed where
Yeah, I was
yeah,
more just kind of curious as to what you were hearing or what your clients were kind of how they were setting it up with the one-to-one. As mentioned,
that's
this particular buyer is like a, let's call him a large aggregator.
okay.
So that
Okay.
So yeah, but I don't know. I was just curious to see if
Yeah, then I
Yeah.
suppose they don't really have a choice but to return to you who they're going to be selling to.
yeah, they want to
That's
give us a script. They don't
but
before
but
it's
but 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 the script, I'm assuming what the script does, it displays who the end buyer is going to be.
but
Is
we
that
don't.
correct?
So I don't know how it works, to be honest with you. But they're basically controlling it. I guess is the point. They're controlling what's displayed on their end. We don't do an API call. The way I understand it, I'll look
Uh,
into it a little bit more.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So please do, because what you're saying, like, I'm not fully getting, because what essentially. So let's say if you're running the traffic right now, or you got an affiliate that's running the traffic right now, and you want to display who the end buyer is going to be, then ultimately that detail somehow has to get onto my form. Now I get it. What they're saying is that, display a little script, and what it does is it's going to populate who the end buyer is,
Exactly.
and that's fine. But ultimately, um, your um, now what's happening is the aggregator is finding out who you're selling to.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? And so it's a very roundabout. And I don't know if that's the intent here, but that's a very nefarious or a little bit of a sneaky way to identify the front end traffic source. So then, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that, because at the end of the day, they're going to give you the script. You're going to have to pass the script to the affiliate, and which means the end aggregator, whoever the buyer is, the aggregator himself gets to find out what the affiliate's doing, which is largely kind of puts your business model in some question mark.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so we're working through it right now.
Okay. Yeah. So I think probably at least based on currently what's going on, is obviously very new. The 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 right answer would be that will basically ping you, and you're an aggregator. That's fine. So you aggregate away with how many of people you want to sell to. But when I make an API call to you of what this lead is going to look like, you need to return one or more values of potential buyers, and we will display that on the page. Now, if that's going to go from you now as the network to the affiliate themselves, then obviously the affiliate now is finding out who the ultimate buyer is anyway. So that kind of puts your business model again at jeopardy in some respects, because the end buyer now is like, oh, cool, I didn't realize these 4 or 5 companies are the ones that are looking to buy my lead. So why don't I just go direct?
That's it. That's it.
So oh, tough one, man.
I know. Well, like I said, we're working through it.
Okay.
We know others are
Okay.
dealing with it. So
Good question. Good question. I had not thought of it. Well, not that I've worked with too many CPA networks, but I hadn't thought of it from a CPA network perspective. Yeah, that's dangerous. Good
are
question.
you seeing I know solar seems like it's slowed down tremendously here in the US over the past year or so. Um
No, it's still working.
oh it is.
Yeah. So I'm not seeing the same spend levels as they were previously. So, for example, I work with about 5 or 10 of the some of the big ones, and we jump on regular calls. So like traditionally, like, let's say they're spending, 5 or 7 mil a month. They're spending like 2 or 3 a month now instead of 5 or 7. So it's not I guess you could say from their perspective, like almost like a 30 or 40 or maybe 50% drop. Um, but they were running at scale in a market that was super hot. So I don't want to assume that the numbers they were doing pre-COVID or COVID time is representative of what the market actually was. Maybe that was a little bit hot, which everybody's realizing now. Like a lot of people who are selling mortgages during that period thought they were being very smart, not realizing that it was an anomaly in the market that resulted in excess demand for certain products, and which will probably won't come for a while, if not ever. So yeah, but in terms of number of sales that are happening, yeah, it's still quite still buoyant.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, man. Awesome. Thanks for asking. Right. Any other questions? If there's no questions, then all right, guys, we'll do it same time, same place next week. Have a good week. Hope it's profitable. And for those of you on Speed SOS, I'll see you on Wednesday on the live call there.
Cheers,
Bye.
Nick.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Oops, sorry. Jason, are you still on the call? I just saw a last minute question here. Let me answer that. Can they make the lead purchase dynamic, meaning that they have that they can have the lead purchased from the information gathered and then display the recipient? Yeah, that's exactly what happens actually, Jason. That's exactly what the setup looks like here. So which is you make the API call. That's the ping. So the ping sends partial information, and the lead distribution platform or wherever you get the information from, it'll send back the potential list of buyers, and then the person selects who they want to transact with. So in this example, I would select sort of who I want to transact with. So this is so after, and then I would select, let's say I only want to deal with these 3 people, and then I go submit, and then only these 3 people's details are then sent to the end these companies saying, here you go, you've been selected, you've been selected, you've been selected. So the 3 of them come through, and that's what's displayed. Then this 3 then are then displayed on the final thank you page, that you'll be contacted by company A, B, and C. These are the details, and so on and so forth. So this particular the second API call, which is the post here, it actually sends the name, email, and phone number of the lead, which is not given here. But in response, you get back the buyer's details, so their phone number, name, address, people, and all that sort of stuff. You can grab that into custom fields and then display the custom fields on your thank you page, which would say that essentially, hey, Mr. Lead, you'll be contacted by person A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, about so on and so forth. And so that's essentially how the whole kind of setup works. So they can't be narrowed to one. Yeah, no, so that depends on the setup. Some people only sell to one lead. So for example, Paul their campaigns are worked on exclusive lead gen. So i.e. You're the only person who's buying this lead, in which case there's only ever one that's returned. Others who are doing multi-sell or sell to more than one person, they go through something like this, and a person can pick one or more potential offers or buyers they want to transact with, and that's what's ultimately gets sent. So their details get sent to 3 or 4 companies, depending on who they've picked. So it all depends on how you're running your business. If you're running exclusive leads, and obviously you may display many, but I can only select one, or you'll only ever display one, in which case it's just a form. You don't even need this select stuff here. All you'll do is you'll have a form, and on the form it says, hey, you know what, your details are going to be sent to company X, and so on and so forth. So they're the both options. I hope I've answered the question that you're asking. Let me know if I have not. Yes. Okay, cool. Perfect. Cool. All right, guys, have a lovely week. We'll chat next week. Thank you.